Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Pickleball Podiatrist. I am your host. I am Dr. Eric Lulev, 4045 player, live in Delray Beach, Florida. So there's been a lot of talk online lately of which shoes should people be wearing. I just recently posted a column on the kitchen and shared it across a few forums about what the results of the survey were and the fact that most of the pickleball manufacturers really just don't focus on shoes. There's a lot of focus on paddles, there's a lot of focus on balls, but very little focus on shoes. So today is about shoes. It has to be about shoes today. So what I want to talk about is basically how are we supposed to fit proper shoes. And so this video is strictly about what to look for, what you want to fit, what's your ideal shoe type. So let's just kind of get that started. So one, your ideal shoe should have the following characteristics. It should fit like a glove from the time you immediately put your foot into it. I usually recommend to my patients to buy shoes at the end of the day rather than in the morning. You want your shoe to fit at 5 in the afternoon, not at 9 in the morning. So if it doesn't fit in the afternoon, the shoe is too small for you. It should not be too tight or too loose. It should really fit like a glove, okay? It should allow for comfortable movement. It should also allow for adequate cushioning. Like when you step down on the shoe, you really should not feel the ground at all. You should feel the insole and the inner lay of the shoe and not feel the concrete or the asphalt or even the construction of the shoe itself. Like you shouldn't feel the truss of the shoe. And if the shoe is made very well, you should never need to break these in. There's a lot of fallacies about breaking in shoes, and that's true for athletic shoes, that's true for dress shoes, that's true for most everyday commercially driven shoes. But tennis shoes are designed to be a plug and play and wear immediately, and you should be good to go. Okay. So ideal shoe, those are the characteristics you're looking for. Just so you know, disclosure wise, I have no shoe manufacturer relationships to disclose. So this is strictly just educational and for the masses. Treading is really important. Um, so while there's a lot of talk online about this particular shoe, that particular shoe, when you're looking at shoes, you want to look at the tread. So there are two types of treading. You're going to see a herringbone or you're going to see something more of narrow, okay? So herringbone treading, and you don't really hear anybody ever talk about this, which is why I'm bringing it up. So herringbone treading is designed for grass, synthetic grass, and clay. So if you're wearing a shoe to play on a hard court, you don't want a herringbone pattern treadwear. You want narrow treading. The reason is the narrow treading allows the concrete to grip into the shoe better and you get better traction control. So that's the treading, okay? The third thing is extensive lateral support. So the shoe should support your ankle. It should support your midfoot. When you move left to right and side to side, you need to make sure that that shoe doesn't buckle under pressure. You don't feel like you're going to roll on top of the shoe. Ankle sprains happen. Sometimes you can overroll yourself. But more importantly is when you slide left to right and you're moving laterally, say like dinking or cross court movement, your foot should stay stable in that shoe and that lateral support build on the shoe should hold. And that's how you know you have enough lateral support in the shoe. The fourth item is to look for the reinforced toe caps. Now, this is important for rapid start stopping like we do in pickleball, where serve and volley, moving up through your transition zone to your third and fifth shots, moving back off of the lob, and then retransitioning. So those rapid start stop movements, you want to have a reinforced toe cap on the shoe so that A, you don't damage your toes, and B, the shoe has enough support to be able to function that way. The last thing is spacing. Now, I usually tell almost all of my patients that you want to have a half size larger than what you normally wear. So if your regular work shoes are a size 10, your tennis shoes, athletic shoes, running shoes should be a size 10 and a half. So ideally, when you fit your tennis shoes or your court shoes, you want to have 3/8 to 1/2 of an inch of space from the end of your great toe to the end of the shoe. And that's for two reasons. One is you want the shoe to function at 5 and 6 in the afternoon after playing for 4 or 5, 6 hours. Okay. And you also want to have room for your shoe to expand, to allow for your foot to expand due to sweating and swelling and heat. So that's part of it. Okay. So those are like the 5 criteria of how to buy a shoe. I'm not here to endorse any specific shoe. The results of the poll were very specific. Out of the 500 responses, about 28% of the people are wearing Asics. So court shoes in particular, I am the first one that will immediately tell somebody no running shoes. Running shoes provide zero support. They provide zero lateral support, and you can easily roll your ankle. The same goes for minimalist shoes. Now, there's been some talk on the forums of minimalist training. Minimalist training shoes are great for barefoot running on the beach, for strengthening your foot. All those shoes really do, though, is unlock your subtalar joint, and which is the joint below your ankle bone. And what that does is it unlocks your subtalar joint and it forces your foot into a more pronatory position, so it's more unlocked. So supinated is when you're about to step off the ground and your foot acts like a rigid lever, very similar to how your foot's going to function moving through the transition zone to the non-volley zone. But you're going to be pronated for stability, and that you're going to get when you're serving and when you're in the process of dinking or playing a shot. That's when your foot goes into pronation for stability. You lose that pronation when you need to supinate your foot and you need to launch yourself for speed. So minimalist running shoes and minimalist shoes in general do not provide any stability at all for that speed component. They're designed for a uniplanar motion like running. So I'm not a big fan of minimalist shoes for court play. Finally, just as an overall and arching conversation here, there's been a lot of talk regarding, oh, this shoe's great, this shoe's great. There's been talk about I wear one pair of shoes for 8 months. I am a proponent of 2 to 3 pairs of shoes and you rotate them. There's been some conversations with me and some other people in the forums about structural fatigue of material. And as an ASTM member, looking at surgical supplies and looking at hardware and looking at the materials necessary to create surgical instrumentation, everything has a fail point when it's made by man. There are fail points with clothing, there are fail points with metals, there are fail points with rubber and different materials, nylon. Everything fails at some point due to stress and load. So you want to make sure that your shoes in particular have time to just rest, so the material doesn't fatigue. You can get material fatigue. It happens on aircraft. It happens on everything that we make that's manufactured. Everything from a pen. Pens have fatigue. They'll snap and break. Happened to me this morning with one of those chip clips. It just broke in half. So things do fatigue out, and your shoes will fatigue. But the last thing you want is that shoe fatigue to happen while you're playing. So the best bet is to rotate your shoes and keep them on the lower end of mileage. And when they start to look like they're wearing out, you need to replace them. Shoes, I think even more so than paddles, are the most important piece of equipment we wear on the court. And you need to invest into the equipment that you're going to be wearing. Okay, so with that, feel free to look at me on Twitter and Facebook at Dr. Lulov and at the Pickleball Podiatrist. You can email me questions at drlulov@drlulov.com. And again, thanks for watching another episode of the Pickleball Podiatrist.